Hey guys, Ethereal Light Art here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new to this channel and you like light painting, long exposure photography, or creativity, you're in the right place. Please subscribe and like, share with your artist friends, leave me a comment, I do appreciate them. Thanks for joining me on this journey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to, this is the season finale of season 2, a special episode of, dude, where's my flashlight? I am Chris Bauer, and this is a special takeover. Today, the guest is Aaron, the host with the most.
Hello everyone. I did not know this is coming. There is literally nothing prepared for this. This is straight off the cuff, organic, much how we like to be. And I'm excited. Chris, it's good to see you, buddy.
It's awesome to be here. Thanks for letting me in your home and having me over to chat.
Thank you. No, this is awesome. Last time I saw you, we were in St. Helens. We did some
a couple weeks ago.
Dude.
2-3 weeks ago. Yeah, it was great. Little outdoor adventure and some fun light painting and sitting by the fire, talking light painting and just kind of talking about everything.
Yeah,
really fun. Somewhat necessary. Like here and there, it's nice to just get together and just talk about it instead of doing it, because that's I don't know. There's a lot of special stuff that goes on inside of light painting that has nothing to do with actually turning on a light or a camera. It's the thought going into it for your own self, and it's just the special times you have with your friends that you get to know. And so I'm really lucky to be here in the area. I just moved north, but I am still close enough within an hour or so to where I can get together with Aaron. And so we get to meet maybe 2-3 times a year, whenever we can. We're both all over the place. And so it's really cool to have someone around that kind of gets what I do. We have similar styles and we have similar likes as far as where we like to go shoot and what we like to go do. And we both are always striving to be better and really open and have a lot of fun not being successful. So we just have a good time. It's really easy flowing. And so I think we'll just get to know you from the beginning. I'm just going to tell you, I went through your entire feed this morning. And just
that's a journey.
The thing that's really cool for me is that you had been at it for a little while, but by the time I found you, it was still somewhat in the beginning stages. And so I've got to watch you go from the very beginning, the discovery of this, all the way to where you are now. So it's been really fun and super satisfying. It's almost like one of my favorite, I don't watch TV, so it's like the best thing on. I love watching people progress. I mean, there's nothing more satisfying for yourself, but also as someone who light paints all the time for years, you just you almost crave to watch other people succeed and kick out new art forms more than you want to create them yourself, because you want to be inspired by other people and be excited by seeing their excitement. So you exude excitement. I think you see it in the podcast. You bring out the best of people. You're super kind and do a really good job of bringing out attention to people's qualities. So I think that's really cool, and I'm really thankful you brought the podcast to the community. just important. It's something different, and that's what we need is different. The more we move away from what's already going on, the more we're going to grow.
Yeah.
So I think that was awesome. So how did you come into using a camera and shooting long exposure? And then at what point did you realize, oh, I really like light painting and this is what I'm going to do?
I've been light painting for about 2.5 years. I light paint quite a bit, so it seems like it's been longer than that because my time, my nights are long. Sometimes they're not just 2 hours. Sometimes they go all night or all day. I have a full studio here, so I've been light painting quite a bit during the day as well, which is awesome. But
it's a big part of evolution. Once you start opening your wardrobe and finding nothing but black clothes, and you've designated entire rooms of your house to be dark places so you can work, that you know that you're a full-on light painter. So it's awesome to see the place set up like this. I can tell it's a big part of your life. So
no, totally. We just, for the listeners, we actually I just moved the bedroom, which is this. I live in a loft downtown, but literally the whole bedroom is now a studio, and my bedroom is now my living room, which is literally in the kitchen slash.
Why not?
10 feet away.
I mean, if you're going to be asleep,
we don't
use that.
We don't really host a lot of times, so it's okay. And, you know, honestly, it helps me. I'm a kind of a morning person. And so I really
think best in the morning.
Yeah. I feel like my creative is best in the morning. And so, if I can actually build a studio where I can actually take advantage of like 2 or 3 good hours of, I'm a south-facing unit here, so actually I have floor-to-ceiling windows that you guys can't see, but it gets pretty bright around 9 o'clock, and so I'm actually a really riser. Anyway, to get back to your question, Chris, 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago, I was at Burning Man, maybe even 5 years ago. It's a whole other tangent because it's actually Burning Man week right now, and we're not there. This is the first year in 10 years I haven't been, and people are like, how you doing? And I'm like, oh, because, you know, typically I'm just like, I'm okay, you know, like just the typical response of like, how are you doing? And everyone's like, I'm good. And it's like,
something's missing.
Yeah, you're just like, no, that's not quite honest. Or like, you know, that's not like, let's be honest, you know, like, and so, no, I'm not, you know, and so it was interesting. I made a post today about Burning Man, but I was there and I was dancing with my fiber optic whips. And if you actually do look back through my feed, one of the first light man I did was a fire cyclone and a cloak around me in the forest.
Awesome.
And Sergey actually found me from Light Painting World Alliance, and he was like, "Dude, I love this image. You know, you should come to Paris. You should come to Paris." And I was like, awesome, thank you. I felt like
what a good way to get it.
Yeah, I mean, it was like
talk about full on.
I was super nervous. I was super scared. We did come out with some great images. I met some amazing light painters and friends that I'm still in contact with.
That might be part of the reason that you progressed so quickly, is having so many role models as friends right away, possibly. And
I think so.
Because you get to know someone, and sometimes it's easier to connect with their artwork as well. I mean, if you walked into a crowd of light painters, and you know, they're very welcoming.
Yeah.
So
I think there are some similar characteristics between all light painters. You know, I definitely think there's a common thread of just, we want to share this art. We want to be magicians. We want to share this magic with as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if I quite got to the answer, but anyway, I was dancing with the whips at Burning Man. Somebody took a 2, 3, maybe even 6 second exposure, which, you know, for a decent dancer, you can actually get that whip pretty good. You know, in 6 seconds, you can make almost
on what you're trying to get.
Yeah, exactly. And so, anyway, I saw the back of the camera and I was like, oh my God, this is light painting. I actually went home from Burning Man and was like, what?
Now what?
Well, no.
What do I do?
What, you know, there's a lot to process. There's a lot to process, but I'm thinking, oh my God, I have a creative side to me. Like, I am a creative person. I have a creative in mind. And so I was making wardrobes and hats. I was making top hats for a long time to release this creativity. And finally I just found light painting, and I found dancing with it, because I was actually dancing first. I was dancing with the whip around me, and somebody made art with my body and my movement. And I was like, wow, I can combine body, movement, and light into an art form as a performance. And that really just kind of planted the first seed of light painting to me. And
Yeah.
I've always understood it as a live performance from that, because
Absolutely.
my first experience was a performance, even though I didn't really know I was performing.
Yeah. I didn't think of it as a performance for a while, and now I completely do.
It took me a while as well, and I think that's very important. If somebody wants to,
it's at least a big part of the aspect. As soon as the shutter opens, it's on. You must perform. You can't take a picture of something that isn't there, so you have to make it. And that's,
I think any light
so
painter
fun,
who has done that understands that once that shutter clicks and it's recording every movement, honestly for me, every mistake is recorded.
Yeah.
And that's what it is for me. It's like eliminating the mistakes. Like, think about it from the backwards, the end to the front. It's like, okay, I made 3 mistakes here. My flashlight accidentally went off in my pocket and there's a little bit of light, come on. I mean, like, it's like, or I thought it was on this brightness and it turned out to be way brighter, or it has a mind of its own. Like, often my flashlights do,
Yeah.
I think they're mad at me because of the title of the podcast. And so sometimes those things, they have a mind of their own. But anyway, that's a whole nother podcast. Me and my flashlights. But yeah, so Burning Man, I was hooked. I was already creating things at the time, and I found that this was a good way for me to express myself. And I was like, wow.
I was talking to Gifford this morning.
Cool. And
we were going over some of the things we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And I asked him to take some notes for me.
Cool.
And send them to me.
Cool. So, I have no idea what's going to happen here. This is awesome.
So I noticed right away, there's a path that a lot of us go down. I went right down it, and I saw a lot of steel wool and orbs and things like where you're learning and seeing what's possible. And you did that for a little while, and then you just let it go, which maybe come back to it occasionally, use it as a tool if you want to use it, but you moved on quickly. And it seems like every style you get into seems to progress into, so you start doing tube spins, and you did that for a little while, and then all of a sudden, like, okay, I need more to add to this, and all of a sudden you're starting to add these just awesome shapes and glyphs and like all this, just the freehand with it is amazing.
Thank you.
So what is it that keeps you constantly wanting to not add more to one image, but just keep adding to your tool bag of things that you know how to do and use? What's the constant? Because that's how it is for me as well. Like, I can do 2 or 3, and then I'm like, okay, not that it's boring, but I just want more. I just want to learn more every time. I want to push it and switch, take a right, maybe take a piece of that with me. But yeah. So how do you do that?
I do this for the challenge, because I feel like life is precious. We have a limited time on this earth. Make the most of it. As a human experience, when I push myself beyond my limits and I get out of my comfort zone. And so I do it because I want to grow. I don't want to be stagnant.
Yeah.
I'm an air sign, I'm a Gemini. And so I'm very mercurial, if you will. I change a lot. And so, for me, I want that fresh wave. I want to be riding just like, right, as it's not the full curl, because that's too slow, and not like too low because you'll paddle out. But dude, that in the middle sweet spot, like a honeybee, just like crossing that, that sweet spot.
I like to not be too committed to anything particular, but fully committed to the art form. Like, just kind of, I find that ideas come, sometimes if I have no ideas, besides just the list that I have in my head and on paper, is just start creating. And the more that you start creating, even if it sucks, it's like the repetition of it, you're going to stumble into something or an idea, or something's going to click.
I think for me, it's the challenge. And I think when people see my feed or my art, they'll know that I'm pushing my boundaries. And I'm an okay light painter. I'm not that good.
I think you're great, actually.
But I'm trying.
You do
but I like to try new things.
Amazing.
And I like to fall. Actually, I've said this on the podcast before. I like to fall.
Yeah.
Like, think about snowboarding. When we hit that jump or that little kicker that we just built, dude, you're like, you're going to try 360? Are you kidding me right now?
I can only do them backside.
Do you know what I mean? Like when you were like, you're going to try a full 3? And you're like, dude, it's a powder day. It's like 20 inches of fresh pow.
That's the only
You can't get hurt.
Yeah.
You should do it. And you're like, oh, maybe I should, you know? But instead of actually having that conversation, going back to light painting with someone else, I usually have that conversation with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, you know, so then I'm like, oh, well, why aren't you trying that 360? Even if you fail, there's something in that image. Yeah. There's something to glean from that. There's something to glean from that.
Yeah, it's okay if you don't get it at first, too.
You know what really helped me actually is starting to record. You know, when it is a flip of the switch of your brain when you say, I'm going to perform, which I'm not going to perform. If you think of this as a performance and you actually record this performance with another device, iPhone's sufficient, doesn't matter. Anything, if you ever, anyone played team sports or anything, you always watch film of the game before, and it's like, we go play by play, everyone looks at what they're doing, everyone knows whose number they are. So everyone knows what they should be doing, and when you're out of position or when you miss a block or when you make a good play or a bad play, it's very well known on video. And I think that when I started filming myself, I would actually take the time and be like, okay, I'm going to go back and actually watch my performance.
Nice.
And I'd be like, oh, well, I was completely off frame for, a third of my composition. And so, some silly thing like that. But that's something that I learned, and I'm trying not to make the same mistake twice. And I often do, but
it's a huge help to watch it. Plus it can help other people too.
Yeah.
When they can see what you did and how you did it. So I had a GoPro Hero 2 for years.
I still have one.
And it's hurting. So
I still have one.
I just went out and purchased a new one. And so with the intention of using it just for light painting and to help use it to teach. So I think that I'm going to start doing that again too, because that was really fun back then. I used to make a lot of videos and I kind of backed off. I've been working on one now for probably 3 or 4 weekends in a row, and I just can't seem to. It's very moon sensitive.
Cool. Moon's in Pisces.
And it's, if there's any moonlight, I just can't do this little tutorial. So I'm kind of like, I think this weekend I can probably pull it off. Let's talk about you and Katie May.
Okay.
And how you met, because she's a big part of your artwork.
Yeah.
And first off, how did you meet?
We actually met. I was barefoot, deep in the desert at Burning Man, and I had my camera with me, and I have a travel pack. I actually had the tubes with me, and I had a couple fiber optics. And when you mix those two light tools, it was before I was doing a lot of drawing. You can come away with pretty good image.
Amazing.
And so at Burning Man, when people can't really hold still and they're actually often distracted for a number of reasons, the quicker the better, honestly, there.
Sure.
And so I was actually out by myself. I was gifting light painting portraits at the time. It's one of my absolute most favorite things. It's something that I'm not getting to do officially for my family at Burning Man, but I am also gifting portraits from time to time for special people.
That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so we met there, and so I was actually, there was this like thinker statue. I'll mention the artist. I'll find him or her. Sorry, I don't know if it's her. I was out there. I love the art piece, and when I scout during the day on my bike, I often think about, cool, if I put the tripod here. And often I looked at the lens and it's just be like, I literally go through a dress rehearsal of what my performance would be that night. Like, cool, okay, I'm gonna use this pink and blue because I want a very male, feminine vibe to this photo, because at Burning Man, there is no sex. It's just, you are a human being, And so, anyway, and so I was like, okay, cool, I think about all that stuff. And then I kind of have a mental idea or a game plan of what to do. And I came back at 3 a.m. And so she rode up her bike, and it was a cool story because, out of honestly the dust, because we had a lot of dust there, here comes this just, goddess on a white bike. She's wearing all white, big white buckle boots up past her knees. You know, she had a beautiful top on, which instantly grabbed my attention.
And she saw
she saw my light art. She owns a crystal company, so she's very into like smudging and like Palo Santo and using sage and stuff. And so she thought I was actually smudging my art at 3 a.m. because there's a lot of frenetic energy at Burning Man.
Yeah.
So like, you know, as an artist, you kind of want to have a bit of a space between you and your art. And so she thought I was smudging all the energy from all the daily stuff.
Yeah.
Just like you would water your plants at like 4 a.m. before the sunrise, you know, to give them that extra boost. Anyway, but yeah. So she saw me painting, and you know the good news is, I'll put the photo
with lights.
Yeah, I attracted her with lights.
Yes.
It was awesome. It was great.
What a better way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and what a better place, you know.
And how cool that you guys continue to do that together.
Yeah.
And still do. It's
amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah, no, she's great. I mentioned her on pretty much almost every podcast because
how can
I not when you know, she's a monumental part of the production. She's either the model.
Yep.
If she's not the model, then she's actually at the camera. And for anything that's longer than 3 to 10 to 20 to 30 you got to have somebody at the camera. I mean, it's just like, you know, that extra set of hands.
It's so helpful.
Eyes.
There's times,
you know, it's like,
I just need help. You just need help. It's like, hey, can you just, and it just instantly
just need help.
Frees you of the problem you had. And it's just as simple as a shutter or maybe cap it for me.
Yeah.
When I say, and whatever. And it just having that help and someone who's patient with you and understands how important it is to you to work on your artwork. And
yeah.
So you guys support. How is it like trials and tribulations of traveling in the van together and going around? And because I mean, definitely end up in awesome places, but it's fun. I've been on extensive road trips, you know, where I'm out for a few weeks living out of the car and stuff. And I think I would just be fine. Yeah. I'm the type of person that's made for those kind of things. But I mean, what's it like being out like for a long time and staying out for months? I mean, that's awesome.
It is awesome. You get to know your partner quite well.
Yeah.
You know,
very well.
in every way. And
what a great way to bond, you know.
What a great way to bond. What a great way to see the world. And you know, obviously the time right now, that's nature is where we love. I mean, like we want to be connected to nature. We absolutely crave this. And so the more we can be outside in nature, the better. And so, living in a fine space in like 5 feet, 25 square feet. Yeah. It's not easy.
No.
You have all my photography gear, you have all my light painting gear, which can be, especially in the early days, way too excessive. You don't need as much light painting gear as you think.
You know,
no, just think, don't
I keep getting rid of it. And then it just keeps coming back.
It's okay. It's okay. Because for that one photo, you're going to knock it out of the park and you're going to use it.
You're not a hoarder. Don't worry about it.
Anyway, but yeah, living out of the van was awesome. We did, I think, 6 different states in a short amount of time. We're actually going to go down to Denver probably by the time this airs. We're going to be in Denver for the meetup, and so I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome.
We're going to stop in Utah. We're going to do as many landscape, cool. We'll figure it out.
Been to some great places in Utah.
Yeah, Moab. You know,
we're
going to go over to Montana and go to Glacier, and then go down into Jackson Hole and then down to Wyoming.
Very cool. Jack, I've always wanted to go snowboarding in Jackson Hole.
Yeah.
It's on my list of places.
It's a little too early in the season for this year, but
we
have friends there. So
does Harrison Ford live there?
Probably.
He used to.
Him and his lasso.
I'd love to have.
I'm going to see him across the bar with his hat on. Like, whoa, Indy. Indy.
I love you.
I know. Yeah. So no, Katie May, unconditional support and love for her. You know, and honestly, as I would like this podcast to be, as real as possible, the tribulations is that, you know, you live and work with your partner. So if she's not feeling like light painting and you are, that can be a struggle. You know, if she's often cold and I'm run super hot, I mean, I can maintain until 3 a.m. without a shirt on. That's how she found me. I mean, like, that's who I am. And, you know, she is cold at, you know, 9 o'clock, and that's okay. And so we have to work around that. And it's a team. It's communication. It's all about partnership and give and take. And
that's awesome to have that.
Yeah.
It's cool that you have it, that you've worked together so much. And so you reached a point, I'm not sure when, say January, where you guys couldn't be together and we were all in lockdown all over the place. And you, what's really cool about this, and somehow through this, my life I've had a lot of success this year, and it's not been a great year for a lot of people. And I think it's just, light painting has helped me so much with that. And for you, instead of, because I've tried to get away with, for years I worked with Kristen constantly, and she was out there freezing and doing the work, and I did break away at a certain point because I didn't want to have my light painting work just depend on her being there, or my styles or techniques depending on her being in the shot. And she's also her own person, and she's an artist, and she needs her own freedom, and needs me to help her sometimes too. So I've been starting to kind of go back and forth, and so that helped me grow by her not refusing, but me just kind of like letting her off the hook and being like, hey, you've been helping me for 7 years straight now, and I'm going to, when occasionally, like just 2-3 weeks ago when we made a shot with her, and it ended up great.
Yeah,
and she said it felt like it's been forever since I stood there.
Yeah.
So this comes along, this situation that we're all put in, and instead of shutting down, you exploded, I think. From what I could tell, you had an opportunity to look within yourself.
I did.
And so basically, so what happened?
Oh man.
Tell us that story in here.
Yeah, dude. Many long showers. A lot of deep reflection, a lot of meditative time. And to the point where I've got, a healthy list of ideas, techniques, titles for art pieces, volumes of ideas that I'm excited to start exploring. But one of them was just taking this energy, and The Green Mile is a good movie or book to think about this, and taking all the negativity that surrounds us, that's impaling humanity right now. And I decided to take that in and then exhale it, use it to benefit myself, to energize me in a creative way. With her being gone, she was in New York for a while, helping a friend on a horse ranch, 2 Moons. Love those guys. Love to them and the horses. But anyway, it was hard, and I had nothing else really to do other than put this energy into my art. And I had a lot of time. I had the studio built at the time, and so that would provided some daytime work for me, which is crucial. Sometimes after, gosh, maybe I'm getting old, man, but I don't know. It's like, dude, once I hit like midnight, it's like, oh, dude, I have to go like to 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't burn like I used to burn.
I started napping when I turned 40. That was
okay.
I'll be 45 this year, and naps are my way through.
Yeah, I need to.
I like to sleep in the woods from like 3 to about 6 p.m. and then I wake up and I have my coffee and my dinner as if it's breakfast.
Yeah.
And then I go to bed when the sun comes up, and that's just on Saturday night. And then Sunday I usually just kind of wake up early because I'm pretty cheesed from the night before, but it's usually so inspiring. I'm able to like kind of carry that over into the next week and dream about it all week and prepare things and think about light painting, maybe practice, and then I go out the next week, and maybe I'll go off a little bit Friday, but it's Friday, so I've worked all week and I'm tired. So I might get going, I might get into the groove, but if friends are coming, the excitement will help.
Yeah.
But
it's always nice.
But Saturday night, it's like I just work that into a routine, but the nap, the during the day nap is so, and I go down thinking about what I'm going to be doing, and then I wake up thinking about what I'm going to be doing. And I just lay in a hammock in the woods, and it's such a nice quiet place to think about. And so if you can fall asleep, it just depends. I have a busy mind too. Sometimes I can't nap because I'm just like, constantly going. So I could recommend that anyway. If you can try to get a nap, you can go all night pretty easily. But if you're a morning person too, I find I think real clearly in the morning, and then I physically perform. Like I can write really well in the morning. I can say, I would almost always post in the morning. By the time I go to bed, I'm done. I don't even have anything to say anymore. But I could physically act some stuff out. Because I have some energy to release. But but yeah, it's kind of a funny process. How did you come to start freehand drawing? I know you have some inspirations like Roy and definitely.
You know what's funny? I did a whole podcast with Roy,
uh-huh.
but our connection was a little bit spotty,
Uh-huh.
a little bit dodgy from his part of the world and mine. And I was actually at home at my dad's house, which is in rural Washington.
Oh, so spotty. Yeah.
So to call him over there was tough, and so I never got to do it. But I was super inspired from that episode and that connection that I shared.
And
with
he
him.
is so kind and
he is so awesome.
Happy, like exuding happiness and laughter.
I've asked him to come back on the podcast. I think I'm in a better Wi-Fi spot here, but we haven't connected because he's super busy with some professional work, which I'm loving, by the way. So Roy, this one's for you, buddy. Huge inspiration. Sam Mass, obviously master art. Blown away by his artistic skill, and all those calligraphers. Just really started me thinking about, okay, let's practice, right? Let's practice literally just straight lines. I think that's a great way for anyone that wants to get into light drawing. Yeah. Just practice straight lines.
And try and draw a circle and connect the ends.
Try and draw a circle over and over again. A lot of my new freehand art is incorporating freehand circles with glyphs, with calligraphy.
I was just going to say,
different things.
I love seeing the combinations.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me, sometimes your work reminds me of a collaboration between multiple artists.
Yeah, well,
I can
probably
see
me inside my own head.
Yeah, well, that's definitely, you saw the picture I showed you for one of my next ideas. So that's definitely, I believe there's many levels to who you are. And I think that's really cool though, that to see your inspirations in there, but it's definitely yours technique and style. Yeah. And also your light painting nature and nature.
Thank you.
I love that.
Yeah.
How did that come on? I mean, we're talking like every blade of grass.
Oh man.
What about the cocoon?
Oh dude.
Like there's so many cool pictures. Yeah. And from that, I saw the community began drawing a lot of plants and a lot of.
I did too.
And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, the more we can connect with nature, I think we just mentioned it, I think the better we will be as a human species. And
it's very nurturing.
I think drawing it, I think I brought this up on the other episodes earlier in the season, is that, for me, there is a major spiritual connection and through love is through my art and through nature. And so like when you're painting someone or something, if you're actually drawing it, you're drawing its soul, you're drawing its essence, and that's how I paint. And that's how I hope that people who look at my art will feel this and see this and honestly take this for themselves and plant that seed inside of their own heart and let that flower and let that tree blossom and whatever that means. And so when I started painting nature, it was just like, I revere these plants. That is my religion. Like the forest is my religion.
Absolutely.
I mean, like we come from the Pacific Northwest, where it's like, if you were, I breathe this clean air.
Spend time out there.
And so this is my religion. And so if I can start painting, if I can start using this creative, infinite source of creativity through my art to paint something that I love, then that's refilling my soul. My cup is overflowing with this love, which makes me want to paint more and makes me want to get better and makes me want to like connect deeper with nature. And so the Nature in Nature series was just like this full of like, outburst of love to nature. And I was like, wow, I'm going to pay tribute.
I could tell. And it progressed, of course. It started
I actually
small,
those trees started getting bigger.
Yeah,
I was just like,
oh man. What I loved was the amount of strokes and amount of lights going on and off. And
if you look at some of those
spatial
trees,
awareness and
like the self-portrait with the book and the glyphs, that tree literally was, man. I mean, because I'm literally drawing 400 different spades, and honestly, my mind is just like, okay. Spade, and I'm just doing them over and over again. But I'm also thinking about if the branch was like bending down, if this visualization of this perfect tree, or not even a perfect tree, just a tree, it doesn't have to be perfect, in the woods, how would it naturally bend and twist Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How would it have been naturally? And I want to paint nature and nurture in a more natural setting. So the more I can make my flowers real, the more I can paint more blades of grass on the ground, because, you know, again, you go from a higher level quality of production from a flower with a couple blades of grass to a bed of flowers with a lawn of grass, or grass that's cut in like a golf green, and you have like the second half of water, because usually there's water, you know, if there's, you know, and so then like you start to really say, okay, I'm going to break down this composition into like however many layers. You know, for me, it was like, cool, I'm going to start doing 3-layer light paintings, which means I have 3 different tools. I'll do something completely different, but yet they all add to the final whole composition. You know, and it's like what Tom Hill said, think about it in layers of light, don't think about it in layers in Photoshop. You know, in fact, the best thing to do is just never even open that program. The best thing you could ever do is just never even open it. But that's a whole nother podcast. No, but anyway, so think about it in layers of lights and start small and build. It's just like anything. You can't run before you walk. A lot of the, you know, themes of the podcast have been practice, patience with yourself, learn to love to fail, and, you know, just have fun. I mean, think about it. If you're having fun,
huge keys.
You're going to always continue to just want to be a child. This is therapy for me. Light painting is completely therapy for me.
We talked earlier about like when you first started, and what introduced me to you was Jason Page on Light Painting Brushes shared the book.
Okay.
And I was taking a look at it, and what I really liked about it was just different.
Yeah.
And that was instantly the thing that was like, what is this? You know, like, who is this? Oh, he's in Portland. What the hell?
Yeah.
He's close.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And something about the book right away, there's a lot of knowledge and just meaning in books to me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, this little sparks, and was the lighter out? Was it a dead one? How did you get the?
So yeah, I do keep dead lighters, and I never actually made a tutorial on how to do this, but this is a full-on technique that if you're using dioramas or you're using
I was like, I need a
miniatures. How many dead lighters do you have laying around? I have. Well, at one point I had too many, and so I was like, what am I gonna do with them? And just like anything, especially if you're getting into this art form, I've said it before in my podcast. Say it again. Go around your house. Grab anything that you find interesting, go ahead and have anything you have a connection with. If you don't have a connection with it, probably shouldn't be in your house. I'm not going to tell people how to live, but
sure, you
should have a connection with the things that you connect with. Yeah. So you're going to pick up this, you know, light painting of Buddha head. I'm going to use that somehow in a piece of art. Yeah. Think about things around your house that you can use,
that you like,
that you love, that
make
you happy, that you can actually make art with. Yes. And then it just starts to overflow with ideas.
Because everybody has a story and something that represents them. And also a childhood that there was magic in that childhood, things that you remember that were fun. And so sometimes we talked about how I made like Garbage Pail Kids and Where the Wild Things Are and Super Mario Flowers. And like I'm making all these things that I found to be just like really fun. So I want to make art that shows that. When people look at it, I want them to be thinking fun thoughts and maybe even to think back to a time that was more happier, you know? And so that I just aim that direction with my artwork, and then I feel good about what I made. And I can show it to little kids or old people or anybody, and it's just all good because it's from the heart. So each and every person has this other side just besides what you see regularly in light painting. Yeah. There's your whole personal life. And I think you did get to see a lot of that. I actually really enjoyed a lot of the work that came from lockdown because people were doing all kinds of new things. Yeah. And it was kind of like, oh, we might have an explosion here, you know? So
I agree. I thought I saw some burst of creativity from all over the community, and that was awesome.
Yeah, trying new things that normally wouldn't be, because like, what do? I really love light painting. I need to keep going. So, so I thought that was kind of cool. People spending more time together and eating meals together at home, and having, you know, working on projects that have been maybe sitting there with dust on them, or books that they haven't had a chance to read, or all these different things, you know. So
it's funny when you actually start having more
Back to
time,
basics. Back to
how more
basics.
productive you can be instead of
Yeah.
actually living in a rat race where you're actually working for
Are
someone
my
else.
clothes ready?
and
I
it's
gotta
like,
have lunch.
yeah,
I gotta have all this stuff.
that doesn't work
yeah.
for me.
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm
Yeah.
still doing it, and I don't like it at all. But
That's okay.
it's all good.
Yeah.
So let's talk real quick about, because you mentioned going around always 3 a.m, no shirt on, and you have always done like that. And I would be too if I was in a little bit better shape. I'm not in bad shape at all, but how have you kept yourself in shape all these years?
I seriously haven't. I know it's the craziest thing. People always
Because
ask
you just
me.
had the picture of the
People
book the other day,
literally
and I
always
was like,
ask me
okay,
this.
that book, how heavy is that book, or how big is his arm? One or the other. Because
I can go get the
I was
book.
like,
The book is pretty big.
That's big.
The book is pretty big.
I mean, it's there. But
You know, it's funny. I knew this podcast was happening tonight. I didn't know what was going to be on it at all.
Okay.
But I knew the podcast was happening. So Kitty Me and I have made a new agreement that we're going to be more active. And so today I actually worked out. And it was the first day.
It feels good.
And I can't even tell you how long. I used to be totally addicted to it. I actually gave up the aesthetic perception of myself, and I started to understand that there was a whole lot more in there that needed to come out or needed to be expressed or grow. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to maintain being physical, go on lots of hikes where we exercise that way.
It's
I carry
nice to
gear. Gear is
keep
not
your back
light.
strong and everything strong for light painting.
Look for a yoga episode on how to do yoga for light painters. I mean, I'm a yoga certified instructor, and I want to teach people, if you're going to be carrying this gear, you should be doing lower back exercises. Lower back pain is probably the number one painful thing that people experience. A lot of people do in America. And so
stop motion Yeti skateboard things,
I love it, dude.
broke my back.
I love it.
I could use some
Doesn't
light
everything
painters
that's
yoga.
so good break us? It's
I could use light painters yoga though to help me along with that task.
Thank you.
So no, seriously. I mean, it's something I stretch and do a lot of breathing and a lot of
light painting is movement.
Practices.
Light painting is movement. No matter if you're moving your wrist, no matter you're moving your body, if you're bleeding, if you're doing any kind of detailed pin work, you are moving your body, and the way you move and how you move laterally.
Plus, you can be hyper tense and just very,
you have
like tighten
to,
yourself up. Ben
feel more connected.
Woods talked about it. In the podcast he did with him, and when he talked about breathing first and getting warmed up. I really like that, because that's something I like to do. Is a few warm up light paintings. Sometimes I'll just out there doing it with the camera's not even on, but just kind of breaking stuff loose and getting my body ready. And I think that there's something important in, like I said, like I take that nap and I can go out and lay in a hammock and meditate myself to sleep, wake up calm, and let the week go behind me, that it's already gone, and kind of let that stress go from work. And then when I'm ready to start light painting, my mind is clear, and I can just think about that. There's nothing on my mind. There's nothing bothering me. And it's somewhere you end up. Sometimes I have so much on my mind, and all that really stop motion Yeti stuff came from pure stress. I was absolutely under massive stress, and that's actually where my best work comes from. I grow the most when I'm just in a calm flow state. I can be very free, but I can also have this other side where I'm like either pissed or stressed or whatever, which is just it's okay, and that's the thing. But it's somehow the stress can release the most insane artwork for me, and send me off on these huge projects where I get obsessed and I don't come out of the dark for 2 months, and it's like, where'd Chris go? And then all of a sudden I'm back again. And
but you're making beautiful art.
But then sometimes I'm in the super happy flow state before stuff all night. I'm light painting all night long, and there's not one shot that's good. All fails. I walk away so happy. Because it was such a relieving experience being there, doing what I like to do, and getting lost and forgetting. We talk about a lot, to the point where when you're reading a book and you forget that you're reading. And you're in, and I love going
20, 40, 60 minutes later, you're just like, holy moly.
I
did 100 pages. Where did that go?
So we talked about that and earlier tonight. And so that flow state, and then your newfound thing of when you're light painting alone, how deep you can go.
Yeah.
And how many levels are there, like meetups, groups, 2 people, or this thing where you're completely alone in this weird headspace you can get into, which is like this almost another landscape when you're alone.
Oh, totally.
When you're together, you're sharing energy and ideas. But what is it about the alone that really drives you? And is it because it's so healing and immersive? And
I think so. You know, I really light paint as therapy, and I know people think that I take it serious, and I do take it serious, and it's because it is therapy for me.
Right.
Like light painting, like me doing my art.
Maybe not so much your finished product.
It's the process.
But it's
just of me actually just getting
being
things
present.
out, being present in the moment, actually really, really, really being present. And if you think about, it's like, oh, some people can actually slow down time so much. And you're living in the moment so much. It's almost like the Matrix in Neo, where it's like, you know what's coming. You snap time. Time stands still. And what you do inside of that still time is up to you.
I believe that's the most ultimate state.
That's where I paint.
And my favorite place that I can go to in my life right now is to be in that. And it's rare. It's a special time to get into it, but I have to everything has to be just right almost for me to go into the deep, you know, but when it does happen, it's so special. It
is. I agree.
And I hope that somehow I can help people find that. I'm not sure how I can do that, but
I think there needs to be a direction towards people finding their own creative voice. I think that when you start to create your own techniques and your own tools and your own ideas, and you literally just stop for a second and be like, what hasn't been done? What can I do? What can I do with the immediate surroundings that I, at least in my world, have never seen before? When you start to really take on that mantra, the creativity is unbound. And then you'll realize that, I think also Tom Hill said, that little happy little accident, the Bob Ross of yoga, dude, you were like, oh my God, that sparkler didn't work.
The one you did with Katie,
but it was like
white, and you did the little line of her head on accident.
Yes,
and it's awesome.
Yes,
and you couldn't do it if you wanted to again.
I agree. It's these happy little accidents, and you're like, oh my God.
I've got one somewhere too that I used. It was the scanner type portrait wand that I came up and I just did a little, and I showed just a little bit to the camera. But it made an awesome little line. I was like, just leave that. That's cool.
It is cool.
And
sometimes those anomalies are what for me, that's what draws me. Like I want if I'm looking at the art, I want to see a challenge.
It's a residue of emotion you made. It's kind of neat.
It's like, wow,
it's pretty cool that you can record that. And have all that time condensed into one, whether you need 2 seconds or you need 60 minutes to pull off your exposure, it doesn't really matter, because that's all based on your goal. So if your goal, sometimes you only need 2 seconds to reach your goal. Sometimes you need an hour because
you only have 2 seconds.
So it just really depends. Noise reduction's a bitch on an hour.
Oh man.
And I drive my friends crazy with my noise reduction.
Me too. I learned this from you. I've learned a lot of things from you.
It helps you chill for a second. Sometimes I do switch cameras. Sometimes I'll just flip. I'll pop the lens off and put the cap on and let it cook, and just put the other one on.
I'm gonna start shooting film. I'm gonna start shooting film here soon. I think that I think that's a good idea. I think
it's fun. It's very challenging.
Quite been done yet. I mean, or it's not really a common practice.
I think it's been done, but it's not common practice.
It's not a common practice, and I'd like to make it a common practice again.
It's a little bit more of a commitment, as far as like you're spending a little bit more money. You can't. Also, you can't see.
You're upping the stakes. It's
you get a special look from the film. There's so many different levels of why film photography is really cool. And all my lenses, I have a Nikon film camera, so I can switch my lenses onto that.
Ooh, nice.
Which is really cool, and I know that I could. The highlights are a lot more forgiving on film. It's not like digital where it because whites are just like,
I struggle with my highlights.
The highlights are brutal. Yeah.
One thing I struggle with is the highlights.
Yeah. And a lot of that's getting the right exposure and how quick you're moving, and then the stopping point of from here going back. And,
some people will be like, hey, just get live composite and not worry about it. But I don't want to do that. That takes it out. I mean, there's no way I'm going to be able to move a film and going to be able to do something on live composite. I'm going to have to do a lot of testing. I'm going to have to fail a lot to really get the idea of what luminosity at what duration of time equals the perfect amount of painting.
One thing I found fun. Now I don't know the results yet because I have not developed this roll that I'm working on.
It's not easy.
I've been working on this roll. I got like 32 or some exposures, and I didn't realize it was going to take me a year to make 32 meaningful.
Yeah,
that's fine.
That's okay.
Because I can't remember what half of them were. It's gonna be like opening presents, like, oh wow, look at
those disposable cameras at weddings where you're just like, oh man, my friends are so creative. These guys are crazy.
Yeah. So it's really fun, and I found that I can do a couple setup on the tripod with my digital, which isn't necessarily cheating, but it helps me get into my rhythm, figure out exactly what I'm going to do, get it down, nail it. And then be like, okay, one more with the film. And then I'll pop the film camera on there. And I just, like, say if I were at f8, I would just go to like open it up just a little bit more, like 5/6. Yeah, that's just what I do.
Cool.
And
no, this is good information.
Yeah, letting a little bit of extra light in because the film seems to be able to handle it better. Cool. I don't know.
Okay.
That's just me.
Thank you.
And I got that from Bill, who I think is
deep work photo.
Bill, he is just he taught me almost everything. So it's just passing it along,
Thank you. You've been my greatest teacher, dude.
Yeah.
And my biggest inspiration in this whole thing. And
you've taught me a lot too. So it goes both ways, and I think that's the relationship I'm looking for with people in light painting is I'll teach anybody anything. I don't mind doing like all the labor work and experiments and everything, but it's nice to go kind of both ways and banter back and forth.
Yeah.
And I find I get along with people a lot when just through comments, and all of a sudden it becomes messaging, and then maybe even phone calls. Like like you said, speaking with other light painters regularly is really fun. Yeah. But if you don't say anything, you can't build a relationship. Yeah. And you don't end up not knowing anybody. So I think that's kind of.
I think we can go on air right now and saying, anyone wants to message either one of us. We welcome every message and question. In fact, we've even talked about maybe doing like a weekly live half an hour, maybe hour.
First off, I didn't realize that what I was doing. So I made an Instagram page that I was just going to communicate between the group of us that is going to be releasing these teachings, which we call them teachings instead of tutorials, and I really like the way that sounds.
They are teachings.
So I made this page, and all of a sudden, it was just supposed to be for us to communicate and kind of build this thing for a couple months as we get ready to do it. And all of a sudden, it was like there's 30 followers, and it was even private. And there's no post. I don't know how, where it's going, and all of a sudden it's up over 100, like the requests, and I just was like, whoa, sorry. Like I'm not trying to like make people wait.
Yeah.
So it'll be back.
So what's the idea? And what's the name? What's the idea?
Well, the name we're not sure because there's a couple names floating around.
Yeah.
The idea is I wanted to teach. I've been light painting for about a decade now, and I have some really big ideas where I feel like I'm just getting started for myself, and I want to work on those giant ideas. I'm not really worried about posting anymore.
Yeah.
I've kind of reached that point where I'm just kind of like, I want to be surprised when I look,
Yeah.
And so maybe teaching will help just add a little fire to the community, and so, but I didn't want it to be all about me.
Yeah.
And like a page about me and everything I do. So I wanted to bring in a team of light painters that was some diversity in the amount of time they've been doing it, the styles, the type of equipment that we all use are completely different. You have things I don't have, I have things you don't have, and the whole group's like that. Some female energy in the group, some guys from overseas.
Cool. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited about the opportunity to teach with this group, and it'll be something. I want to make something completely different than what we have seen, because there's a lot of great avenues out there. Like lightpainters.com is really good for finding people around the world and what they're into, and for meetups, techniques, and just kind of like whatever it looks. You can do anything you want on that website. And add to it, so it looks like it's a great place for that. And then you get the light painting blog, you get a lot of stories, behind the scenes stuff. I've seen a lot of great information from Stephen K on there with all the flashlight work.
That's amazing.
Air torches. It's
amazing.
It's great because I'm a user of the lights, but I'm not technically savvy in how things work.
Yeah, his episode was amazing.
Yeah,
and he went through all of the hertz and like watts and what's watt. That was the name of his title on it. It was like,
and I thought that was neat to have that.
You know, it's like we paint with these things, like we should know them. Like, you know, you should know your camera, you should know your torches. You know, another big lesson or piece of advice that many of the guests have said, it was just like, know your equipment. Like when you know your equipment inside and out, you can expand yourself, you can expand your creativity because you're more proficient with your equipment, you know. And I truly believe the better photographer you are, the better light paint you are. You know, you see compositions differently, you just see the world through the lens a little bit more, and you actually start to think about the peripheral edges of your landscape, of your light paintings. You know, like think of it as a canvas. I turn my camera into literally a canvas of what I'm going to paint, whether it's backlighting the trees if I'm outside, or if I'm in my studio. What am I going to do in the upper corners that might be the perfect symmetry or the perfect border to do something that's all hand painted, but yet I'm thinking about those far reaches of the frame. And when you start to think about things and maybe almost to the end and back to the forward, right? Think of things in reverse.
And you really like that.
Where you want to be.
Idea.
And then
talk about it a few times.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the reverse engineering aspect of doing it.
Of creativity. Of light painting. Like
maybe approach it that way and see it.
What is my dream?
Yeah.
What do I want to paint right now? What is the scene, or what do I feel? More importantly, as artists, we are emotionally astute. And so like, what do I feel? What do I want to paint? What do I see happening with the tools provided in front of me? And once you can come to that resolution and idea, then almost like Ace Ventura, when he like hits his head on the drinking fountain, is like, let's see that in slow-mo, right? It's just like, boom, right? He's just like, anyway. But yeah, like that's what your light painting would be. Like you have the end product, and then it's like, what it's going to take for me to get there. Break it down step by step, literally your feet movement, step by step. This is a performance, right? This is a body, art, light, visual, soul performance. Think about each step, what it's going to mean, what your hand's going to be, what luminosity you are, what aperture you're at, what ISO you're at, what surroundings do you have, car lights, do you have street lights, do you have animals, do you have people, do you have, horse carriage coming through Central Park?
You almost don't know until you're in it.
And those are retakes. That's okay, right? Sometimes that's a retake. Just think about it. You are performing your song. Think about each one of these light paintings as a beautiful musical composition where you write the lyrics. You also write the lights. Yeah. You write the music. You write the lyrics.
I like how you're thinking about it on a deeper level.
And so you're performing.
We talked about painters when we were camping, and other artists where you don't achieve your goal in 15 seconds.
Nothing really happens.
You have a dream, then you're sketching, then you're working on a color scheme, then you do your underpainting, and then months later
it comes
there's
out.
a painting.
Yeah.
And I think I'm at this point showing you the blueprints for my next crazy projects.
Wait till you see this, guys.
It might take me 3 months to get it done. It might be something where I go OCD on it and just like, you might see it in 3 weeks. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. But I'm looking to challenge myself a lot harder.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that is really important, I think, to just find something to challenge yourself with. When you go out into, say out into nature, or even at home too, do you ever go in with the intent of light painting and have absolutely no idea what you're going to do? Or do you go
Yes.
in with a plan?
No.
Or is it a mix?
It's a mix. I mean, I can't say
More-
no.
more freestyle?
No. Yeah, I like to freestyle because for me, it's like these rap battles. You know, like
Mhm.
I grew up where there was rap battles, and like
Mhm.
you literally freestyled and you broke down your opponent like right there in the spot. Like you would just be like, "Cool, I see my surroundings,
Right.
and I add to it. I flow with it. I'm in the flow state." You're literally freestyling, flowing is what they call it.
Yeah.
And so like I wanted to take that aspect into my live performances. Like my art is like, cool. So then I feel like I see some of the glyphs and I see some of the maybe the other languages, maybe
Sure.
that's a stretch, but I see some of the things.
You know what you'd like to
already
work on. Do you ever kind of just go out and walk until you find a place that you're like, this is the spot? Like go out for a walk in the woods, or do you kind of go
to find my
location?
spots before it gets dark.
Yeah.
Because once it gets dark,
You go
then
for
I'm
a
like,
feeling kind of, or a look, or both on that too? Because I kind of go for a
I think
feeling as
both.
well. Sometimes I'll go to a pretty place or somewhere I really want to be that I saw online or something, like, oh, I'm gonna go travel there and check it out. And you get there and you're like,
yeah,
this isn't really
yeah,
the nicest feeling
Yeah.
spot. Like I'm not gonna be able to unload here. So I think that
yeah,
it's something to think about. Like
it is
doing something that confuses the viewer, not confuses, but just confuses their brain enough to make them pause. And maybe then, because of that, they'll read what you wrote too.
Yeah, I know.
You
Social
know?
media. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's a,
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Not sold. Not sold.
Yeah, that is a thing I can talk about a little bit, and I'm
Yeah,
sure you
please
can
do.
too.
I think it's important
A lot
because
of
you know what?
the people in that group that I've asked to teach with me is everybody, or almost everybody, was kind of like at the edge of like, do I even want to do this anymore?
Yeah.
Or do I even want to post anymore? Because it's gotten somewhat not bland, but predictable. And it's really just hot right now. Election season, all the fun stuff is going on.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of heat in there. So like on one side, I want to be there to help encourage art.
Yeah.
Because that's why I'm on social media. I'm not there for the rest of it. You know, I'm only there for positivity and to work with other artists and to share art. And if it from there, maybe music, and other than that, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and so I feel like it's something I can do to help people get through, because you know it's going to get wild coming up here in a couple months, and I think it's a crucial time to teach.
Yeah.
To help people get through, but who knows what, and winter is coming. We've said it.
Absolutely. You know, and I'm super grateful and super excited to actually embark on this new journey with you, in a teaching aspect, in a teaching role. You know, in the very first season of the podcast, I went away from this, but we talked about the Hogwarts of light painters. You know,
I listened to some old ones today at work just because.
It's really funny. It's like what course would you come back and teach? You know, I'm a huge Harry Potter magician kind of nerd. You know, I'm a fantasy guy totally. And so, you know, it's like, well, if you're a professor, what would you be a professor of? And not that you have to be one style of light painting or if that's what you teach, but, you know, for the most part, if you really like doing one certain type of light painting, you should teach on that, you know, but besides other things. But absolutely. I mean, like, you know, that's your forte.
Especially
you feel comfortable about it. You feel good at performing that piece of art. And so you should teach that piece of art. If you're interested in expanding your creativity or expanding your mind in any art form or any high focus level of anything you do, I think this workshop is going to be something that you might want to check out.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be a part of it.
And then physical workshops you and I are possibly looking into next year out here in Pacific Northwest, or if there's a need for us to travel somewhere, we can certainly be into that too. But we're going to try for 3 to 4, and we'll see where it goes from there. Maybe every 3 months, and I think
share that with new people is just honestly, it's why we do it. It's like you get to a point in your maybe artist career, professional career, or light painting career, and you're just like, okay, I feel comfortable with where I'm at technically in my skill level. I would like to teach other people so that they can have this same feeling of joy and fulfillment, where most of society right now needs that. Like, I think that this, for me, is filling a major void of, as an empath, what I'm feeling from the world right now is really taxing. And to make such good, positive art with light, and then teaching that and actually, honestly, propagating this same technique and same love. You're propagating love through your art and through light. I think this is what we need to do, and I think this is our calling. This is my calling. It's your calling.
You have the passion to pull it off, and that's why I asked you to join me. Not a lot of people have that drive and passion to continuously grow.
Yeah.
And you've done it even with your podcast. I think I listened to Alien Workshop, Chris.
Yeah, dude. Amazing.
This morning.
You did?
Oh yeah,
that was cool.
So I looked at your profile, listened to some podcasts.
You know, I think that's what we get in. We fall into this pitfall, if you will. If you remember the 80s game where the guy was like, you know, hanging over the alligators and stealing the gold bags and the scorpion underneath and the ladders, you know, pitfall.
Gold
we're
bar.
dating ourselves. And gold bars, man. Quicksand, gold bars. Anyway, so yeah, it's a pitfall that you just, you know, kind of fall into. And it's like, no, you know, use creativity to use that vine to swing across those obstacles and just like, don't get sucked into that notion.
It's
you know,
there.
Keep it fresh.
It's good to be aware, I think, of things that aren't possibly holding you back, or or the seeds that plant negative feelings in you, and how do you overcome, you know? And a lot of times just things that aren't actually directly affecting you, but it's the empathy, because I'm a lot like that too. I can even think of things happening generally not positive, and I feel them as if they've already happened to me, and they might have in the past in other lives, but that's a whole nother thing. But I don't know where I'm really going with all this, except for that it's all okay. Everything is okay. And just when it's time, when you're having a hard time, you know, dancing, singing, creating art are three things that help you. You know, and they're all very associated, you know.
They manifest love inside of you.
Yeah.
You know, like you are emitting the purest form of joy that exists, is living in the now. Like that is the highest level of reality, is the highest level of joy, is just living in the moments when you're singing, when you're dancing, when you're light painting, when you're creating art, when you're shooting a basket, when you're doing anything with a high level of flow state or focus.
That's living in the present.
That's really
I really do think
therapeutic.
The past isn't all depression, but a lot of times I would associate my history with depression and the future with anxiety, and now is flow. Yeah. Which is, I look forward to the future. It doesn't always give me anxiety. You have to plan, or you're going to run out of food. You know, you have to have a little bit of that.
A little planning's
and
okay.
Also like to look back at, it's not necessarily all, you know, burnt bridges, fire behind me. It's a lot of great memories also that made me who I am. Yeah. The bad things are the things that make me better, I hope. Yeah. And it took me a lot of years. It took me about, I'd say I was about 38 when I finally started to like come to a different realization. You know, I went through different levels of growing and falling back and growing and falling back. And as I'm getting further into my 40s, I'm becoming a lot calmer as an artist. Yeah. And a lot calmer just as a person in general. Yeah. And I think my artwork's starting to show now that light painting has helped me heal from so many different problems that I've had in my life. I feel like light painting has brought me to a point now to where almost like I can begin the second half and better part of my life. And I can either take it with me. If I were to never light paint again, I would just be like, thank you so much for fixing, or at least helping me reach a point where I can live the rest of my life really happy and look forward to so many other things now, and learn to play music with the same intention, to love people with the same intention, to cook my food with the same intention, and put the level of that you have for love and light painting into everything. I hope that people can look to this podcast as something that to look forward to, and that you know, the future, there's a lot of really fun things coming. The experience of creating big, deep pieces instead of just building deep pieces out of a lot of different parts, and you know, it's kind of just the satisfaction. I don't know, and maybe I get more satisfied from it than other people might. You know, I mean, maybe some people would think it was unnecessary to go so far, you know, to do it all and then have a 60-minute exposure not work.
You know, I haven't gone that long. I'm not sure what my longest one is. I think it's about 23-ish.
Yeah.
But waiting for noise reduction when you have one camera for 23 minutes and you're like, oh my God, I think that was okay, but like you really honestly don't know. You kind of haven't, I mean, like
your rhythm.
I kind of know.
Couple minutes. Yeah.
If I made a blatant happy little accident, let's call them, then I might just be like, you know what?
Should I keep going?
Well, I often think about this, and I talked about this on the podcast. Do I keep going? Do I paint through that anomaly of what I had intended? Now, that anomaly could be something that's a very, very good addition to the photo or the image that you're making. But it also could be.
You just know it's there, though.
It depends. Chris, it depends on the blatancy of the error. Like, you know, did my flashlight, and my flashlights often have the mind of their own. They often just come alive. They actually turn on, and I don't want them on. I know it sounds like so easy.
No, it happens all the time.
But not only can I not find
How long
them.
has that been on?
Well, I hope not.
No,
I hope not. I'm just like when I pull it out of my pocket or when I'm handling it.
Yeah.
You know, it can fire, and then like I don't want it to fire when it's pointing at the camera. You always want to fire when it's facing away from the camera, because then no matter how bright it is, you can still probably incorporate that somehow, which is what we talked about on the podcast. Can you turn an anomaly and sometimes repeating the anomaly on another piece of the art can tie it together? So, you know, we talked about this.
It's whether you feel it or not. You
leaving the tunnel.
It's almost like this split decision, like a second, like right then you gotta be like, okay, do I want to
make the split decision? And I would say
just start over.
I would say if you're really, really not selling your prints and you're really not working as a light painter, as a professional artist, then I would say keep going, because, you know, if you want to break it down, and I'm very analytical about my art and how I edit and how I review what I consider is a better piece of art, and it's only on my criteria, my equalizer of my levels of what my criteria is, what I'm going for. If I'm a little bit down here, but I'm pretty good at the rest of the way, I might be able to live with that, or just redo it as quickly as possible, finish the whole composition, and then say, without even looking at it, click again. I'm going to repeat that performance. I'm going to do those exact dance steps. I'm going to do the exact same cadence. And I'm going to compare the two images at the end. And you might be surprised that the first one wasn't so bad, and the second one might be better, but it also might be a little bit worse, because because it's random. And that's why we do this, because, you know, every little, if you're performing a song every single time in your life performing, it's going to be a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And that's what the light painting is. It's always going to be close, a little bit different. And I try to keep my art that way.
Snowflakes.
It's snowflakes. It's like every single one is a little bit organic, you know. Now, granted, if you have the same off-camera flash, if you have the same single tube spin, that can be repeated, you know. And I love that part of my art, but I also really want to see me say, look, I'm going to jump into the nothingness. I am going to dive into the deep end of creativity, where I don't have a path, I don't have a cadence, I don't have anything but me, my wits, my creativity, my imagination, and my tools in front of me. And what I come out with that with is hopefully something that it's going to make sense, and it's going to look nice. It's going to be a piece of art. It's going to be a piece of me. And honestly, I hope that it would be very difficult to be replicated. You know, like I want to take my art into, it would be very difficult for someone to replicate my art. And that's where I believe I need to be thinking. I need to take my art into, okay, that's going to be very difficult to replicate. If I am in that realm, if I am doing art that's very difficult to replicate, I'm in the right spot for me. I'm in the right soil.
And I think that's a good way for people to grow that you teach, because you're going to make it to this level to where they can't repeat it, but they can come close and find their own path very easily because it's so unrepeatable.
Yeah, that's the direction I want to go. And I think that's the direction where I'm headed. And I want to teach this. I want to teach, you know, and it's not that one's better than the other. There's no judgment. It's just unlocking your personal style. It's unlocking your personal creativity. It's you connecting with your passion more intensely and with more purpose. It's you living out your creative experience. And as every human on this planet walks, we are all creative beings. You know, and there's just literally
more than anything, really, it's
we are creative people. I mean, the universe, this ultimate source, has given us creativity, and for us not to respect that,
it's funny,
can be
it's
harmful.
Art in school is pushed to the wayside. It's not looked at as basically something nearly as important as other things that are, like even history, which is jaded, you know, but
written by who?
Yeah.
And let's be honest, but the world we live in now
is written by the winner.
More transparent, which of course is a good step for mankind, is to be more transparent. Let's educate ourselves.
One thing about right now is we can't erase this history because there's too many witnesses.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we live in some interesting times. You know, so let's make more art.
Yeah, more power to the artists.
Let's share more happiness. Let's support more local artists. Let's share more individualism. Let's respect more uniqueness. Let's respect diversity. You know, let's respect originality. You know, that's where when I look at a photo, when I look at an image online or anyone's piece of art, I'm gonna be like, wow, how original is this? How much of this is a reflection of your creativity that you spawned inside of you, that you birthed into this world out of your own soul. You know, that's what I want to see. And that's what I hope.
That's exciting.
That's what I hope to profess. Yeah, that's why I do this. You know, I mean, I want to bring other people closer to this feeling, because I know when people experience this, I absolutely know in my heart, when people feel this, they're going to love this art form even deeper. They're going to have a deeper connection with themselves, with their art, with their self-expression. I mean, it just really all is interconnected in a loving way. So, do you want to talk about any other old photos? You know, the thing with the lighter, there's a photo right behind you, actually, the Eye of Fox, actually, yeah. So you can see,
I noticed that right when I
you can see the lighters as the fireflies around this, and I'll put the image up on the screen. This was actually the technique he was referencing over the book. I actually took a dead lighter, something that I had laying around the house, something that I was like, okay, we start with steel wool. This looks like steel wool. It's a lot safer inside. In fact, don't ever do steel wool inside. Never mind. Yeah, don't do steel wool inside. Anyway,
I tried it once. It was like,
not a good idea. Not a good idea. So anyway, the closest thing you can get to steel wool inside is actually, you know, breaking it down by spark. And if you have something that you can control, then you can actually, when you pull down, you can actually bring the legs of the firefly down with it. So think about it. If you're pulling down, it's actually going to spark with the wheel as it strikes on the flint, but you're actually pulled down. You're actually going to bring these legs down as the bug, because all bugs have legs, most of them. These flying insects do. Yeah, and so that's how I came up with it. As you can see, there's a snout, there's actually a body, there's legs, there's actually full-on limbs of these little firefly insects, and that's how I started that. I've put them in the cocoon shot, I put them in some other things. I haven't seen it done anywhere else, and I think that's unique. And that was actually a time that was like maybe 3 months into my light painting, when I was like, what haven't I seen? What could I use around my house that's different than anything else? And I just started actually expanding my creativity. And once you start to realize that, like, wow, this is possible, I am possible, then literally you never look back. You just
start
always
to realize that you can do anything.
You really can do anything.
It's like when all the bullets are coming at you, and he goes,
it's like, what do I want to do? Am I provoking a deeper level of understanding of this piece of art? When you get to that level, that is what art is to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I do this. That's where I want to. That's the area of growth that means the most to me as we go into these darker winter days, and I am spending more time reflecting and growing and molting. You know, people want to say, hey, you don't post as much, is because I'm taking a break from social media, and that's okay. That's part of me molting. Yeah. When you don't see me for a week, I am literally molting.
Working on something.
I'm literally working on something. Yourself, I am molting. I am spending that time very productively.
These
and
light
wisely.
Paintings don't just make themselves.
I am literally transforming, and I want people to, as artists, as creatives, as humans, I want people to molt all the time, because you are shedding that skin. You are, as a snake, you are shedding that skin and you're leaving it behind. And this is the new, better version of you. And if we can all be a better version of where we are yesterday as today, we wouldn't have some of these issues. If we can molt and we can transform and we can be better versions of ourselves from yesterday to today, that is growth.
And that's really the goal.
That is really
when
the
you
goal.
Make that the goal, I think that you keep finding yourself growing and it feels good, and then you want to do it again and again. And it's like, I get in these rhythms. Occasionally I'll fall off and go the wrong way. You know, it's just
that's okay.
Nature.
That's okay.
But I try, and I'm getting better at assessing why. You know, like why did it go wrong, or why didn't things not work out the way I like, and then just try and learn from that, so then I don't either repeat it, or when it does happen again, I know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And so that's important, and that goes in every aspect of life. Really, it doesn't matter what you're really working on.
You know,
and if you can apply like a lot of the discipline you get from all your light painting into just, like I said, into everything, it's kind of a great tool.
It
is. You don't even realize that it's, that your commitments and all this positive energy that you're putting in and negative energy you're getting rid of is actually going to make something you go do later work out better.
Yeah.
And actually make the people around you happier.
Yeah.
Because you're, content.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's all interconnected, and it all stems through art, and it all stems through light painting. And I'm so grateful for this journey. I'm so grateful for the support of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
My heart is overflowing with gratitude for all the participants and support for this season.
Yeah, that's awesome.
For season 1. I've learned so much. I've connected with so many people, these special artists who have given their time, who have honestly summoned courage. And a lot of people are not speaking English. I do have some interpreters going on, which have been great. Thank you for your help in that. I think this podcast has a lot of potential for a lot more growth and a lot more teachings.
You make it easy for people to talk. It can be nerve-wracking.
It can be,
not on just speaking with somebody sometimes, but especially if you haven't met yet. But also to know that the camera's on and everybody's going to listen to what you talk about. And that it can be kind of weird, but it's definitely something I'm really glad that I'm getting into more and more. And I've always been comfortable with it. There was a certain point in my life through jobs that I've had where I had to take leadership positions and just be in front of large groups speaking.
Yeah.
And it helped me get over that. I did not want to do it, and I got good at it. And then it gave me a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And then I was able to, even though I didn't like the work I was doing, even though I was making great money, but I did pick up a lot of valuable leadership type things in there. That just made me more comfortable with working with people I either don't know or even integrated it later on. I did at Illumiglow, I did a few free light painting demonstrations, I call them basically. And it was about 20 people both times came in and was able to just perform in front of a large group.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, just that kind of stuff is really satisfying. Is there anything you want to close with? Like any big important message of you have for everybody?
Please share, like, subscribe, share with your artist friends. The podcast is will continue to grow. If you'd like to be on the podcast, if you want to nominate someone to be on the podcast,
I could write a small list of people I'd like to see.
Reach out to me. We have had interpreters from all over the world make this happen. So I hope language is not a barrier for this. I hope that people want to lead with their passion of this art form and just creative people in general. It could be, I might open this up to all art forms, dancers, photographers, musicians, composers, whoever. If you are a creative person and want to have your art or profession or whatever talent you want to teach people about, please
I think that's a great idea to bring in other artists, because art is very
universal.
Universal, and you hear about them talk about it in the same way.
Yes.
You know, they approach it in the same way, and it means the same thing to them. It's just a different medium.
Yep.
And so that's something that would be really fun. There's a podcast that I listen to regularly about a certain subject, and it's cool because the subject is the main topic of the show, like light painting would be.
Yeah.
But the guests pertain to the subject, but they are scientists, and some are artists, and some are comedians, and some are, but they all are about the subject.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really cool. Because generally, a lot of my light painting inspirations as of late, especially the last couple of years, have come from everything but light painting.
Yeah.
Like I'm finding it, and like even the stencil work lately, I went to spray paint artists.
Yes.
First and foremost.
How amazing.
Yeah. And then took what they did and then watched their tutorials, reverse engineer what they did, like you said.
Yeah. And
then turn it into light painting, adapt it to that. So I think it'd be really cool. You know, a lot of really artistic people.
Yeah.
All around the world. And I think it'd be kind of cool to hear what a singer had to say, or what a dancer had to say, or what a painter had to say.
Yeah.
And then how I could integrate that into.
Yeah, exactly. And there's some universal things like, you know, where do you dream about your art? Like, where do you feel most creative? Like we talked about being in warm water, like taking long showers, long baths. That is my creative space. That is my creative cocoon, if you will. So I can germinate.
I still take a 60-minute bath immediately upon waking every day.
I want to know.
It sets me in my path.
You know, and for me, that's more important than what flashlight did you use or what aperture were you at? You know, like things that I can actually trial and error.
That's just stuff.
That's just stuff. I want to know who you are. I want to know who CBLP is. I want to know who Chris Bauer is in his art.
Right.
And what makes you want to be an artist. And I want to know like the struggles of an artist. I mean, like you talk about the hero's journey, the hero's struggle. You know, I think that's what's wrong with social media is that it just shows you the end product. It doesn't show you the trials and tribulations, what the nitty gritty, the look behind the curtain, the transparent motor of all the cogs and the gears working together to get there. All right. It's been an amazing season. I can't say thank you enough for all the participants and all the support across the community. The YouTube channel is growing. And I cannot say thank you enough. From me, from all the guests, we've learned so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I look forward to season 3. See you in the future.